Hello and welcome, my dear friend. Picture a single frame frozen in time, you, standing at the window of your life, watching shadows move across familiar walls while something deeper stirs beneath the surface. The light filters in at that specific angle that cinematographers call the golden hour of the soul, illuminating a truth most people never see. You have been living in the wrong scene. Your reflection stares back from the glass, but behind your eyes, there is movement like a director's cut playing scenes from a different movie entirely. You know that feeling, don't you? The way your breath catches sometimes when you are doing exactly what you are supposed to be doing. Yet every instinct whispers this isn't your real story. The soundtrack of your life has been playing in a minor key for too long. Coffee cups set down too carefully. Conversations that end with polite applause instead of standing ovations. Days that fade to black without the dramatic crescendo your spirit keeps waiting for. But here is what creates the perfect shot: the moment when the lens finally focuses. When the lighting shifts, when you realize you haven't been lost in the wrong story. You have been the lead character in a larger narrative, and the scene is about to change. So lean in, because what I am about to reveal will reframe every restless heartbeat. Every midnight moment when you have stared at the ceiling, knowing there is a bigger stage waiting somewhere in the darkness. You have spent years thinking there was something wrong with you for never quite fitting. Picture this scene in slow motion. You walk into rooms and the camera captures that microsecond pause, your eyes scanning, not the faces but the frequency. The way the air itself feels dense with mismatch, like stepping into a photograph where the lighting is just slightly wrong for your skin tone. Cut to montage of beginnings. Job started with the fervor of a protagonist in Act 1, your voice bright with possibility during introductions. Then the inevitable fade 3 months in, that familiar itch creeping across your shoulders like wearing a costume tailored for someone else's character. The camera lingers on your hands, fidgeting under conference tables, your eyes drifting toward windows, seeking exits that aren't marked with neon signs. Another scene, connections that felt almost right. Conversations that flowed like a beautifully written script until that moment freeze frame when something shifts. The dialogue continues, but your internal soundtrack goes quiet, like trying to tune an old radio to a station that exists just beyond reach, close enough to hear the melody but too distant to catch the words. You have wondered if you were too picky, too restless, too difficult to please. The interior monologue runs like subtitles across the bottom of your mental screen. Why does everyone else seem capable of putting down roots, while I feel like I am always packing invisible suitcases? The camera captures you in those quiet moments, sitting on the edge of your bed at 2 a.m., staring at walls that never quite became home, belongings that never fully unpacked because some part of you always knew this was temporary. But here is the plot twist you didn't see coming. You weren't failing to fit. You were refusing to settle for the wrong assignment. Every restless feeling was your spirit operating like a film director with perfect vision, rejecting takes that weren't worthy of the final cut. Let me tell you something that changes everything. God doesn't place people randomly. He doesn't scatter souls like dice across a board and hope for the best. Every restless feeling you have ever had, every urge to move, every sense that you are not quite where you belong, that wasn't your weakness. That was your internal GPS recalibrating, because heaven has been moving you towards something specific. Picture this: a master chess player 3 moves ahead, positioning each piece not for where the game is now, but for where it is going. The camera zooms in on weathered fingers moving across the board, deliberate, purposeful, seeing patterns that exist only in future possibility. You have been feeling displaced because you have been in transition, not stuck transitioning. There is a difference between being lost and being en route, and heaven knows exactly which one describes your current position. Think of the way a river carves its path to the ocean. The wide shot captures its entire journey, meandering through valleys, rushing over falls, pooling in quiet places that seem like delays, but are actually gathering points for the next surge. It doesn't question the rocks that redirect its flow or the valleys that seem to lead away from its destination. Each bend in the landscape serves the larger geography of arrival. You have been that river, my friend, flowing towards something that has been pulling you forward even when the path seemed to wind away from everything that looked like progress. The aerial view reveals what the ground, level perspective cannot see. Every twist served a purpose. Every apparent detour carved essential channels for what is coming. And here is what the spiritual realm sees that you cannot. Every place you have been was preparing you for where you are going. That job that felt too small, close up on your hands, learning skills you didn't know you had, competencies being quietly cataloged in your spiritual resume. That relationship that ended just when you thought it was beginning. The camera pulls back to reveal space being cleared in your heart's landscape, making room for the connection that will actually see you, all of you, in the lighting that makes you look like yourself. That city you had to leave behind, montage of moments that seem unrelated, conversations with strangers at coffee shops, walks through neighborhoods that taught your feet new rhythms, nights when you learned to be alone without being lonely. Each scene was giving you stories you will need to help others in the place where you truly belong. The editor's cut reveals what you couldn't see in real time. You weren't being rejected from those spaces. You were being graduated from them. Heaven doesn't let its chosen ones waste time in assignments that are beneath their calling. And if you have felt like you have been in constant motion, it is because God has been moving you like a piece on the board, positioning you for the moment when your presence will change everything. Let that sink in. You haven't been wandering aimlessly. You have been migrating with purpose, like a bird that knows its seasons, following an instinct older than your conscious understanding. And every restless night was your spirit recognizing that you weren't done becoming who you need to be for what is coming next. Can I tell you something? There are people in a place you haven't found yet who need exactly what you carry. Not the polished version of you that you think you should be, but the tested, traveled, tried version of you that you have become through all this movement. They need someone who understands what it feels like to search, because they are searching too. They need someone who knows how to recognize home when they find it, because they have known what it feels like to be everywhere else. But here is where it gets interesting. The place you are moving toward isn't just about geography. It is about alignment. It is about finding the configuration of people, purpose, and possibility where your gifts don't just fit, they are essential. Where your voice doesn't just add to the conversation, it changes the direction of it. Where your presence doesn't just fill a space, it transforms the atmosphere of it. You have been feeling this shift lately, haven't you? That sense that something is loosening, that the pieces of your life are starting to move in ways you can feel but cannot quite name yet. That is not coincidence. That is heaven setting the final coordinates. The restlessness you have carried is starting to transform into anticipation, because your internal compass is finally beginning to point toward true north. Something is shifting. The doors that have been closed are preparing to open. The connections that have felt forced are being replaced by ones that will feel like coming home to yourself. The work that has drained you is clearing space for the work that will energize you in ways you had forgotten were possible. You are not imagining it. The phone calls that change direction, the chance encounters that feel too perfectly timed to be random, the sudden clarity about what you cannot continue to tolerate. These aren't signs that you are finally getting lucky. These are signs that you are finally arriving where you were always meant to be. And when you land in that place, whether it is a physical location, a relationship, a role, or all three, you will understand why the journey had to wind the way it did, why certain doors had to close so firmly, why certain people had to exit your story, why you had to become uncomfortable enough with the wrong fit to be willing to risk everything for the right one. The camera pulls back now, revealing the wider shot. You, standing at the threshold of transformation, no longer searching for your place but recognizing that your place has been searching for you. The lighting has shifted imperceptibly, what film editors call the reveal, where shadows that once obscured now illuminate. Cut to close up on your hands, steady now. The tremor of uncertainty replaced by the firm grip of someone who knows their next line. Your breathing has changed rhythm, deeper, more intentional, like an actor who has finally found their character's heartbeat. The soundtrack swells, not with orchestral grandeur, but with the quiet percussion of alignment, footsteps that no longer echo uncertainty, conversations that carry weight, decisions that create ripples instead of waves that go nowhere. This is your moment of recognition, the scene where the protagonist looks in the mirror and sees not who they have been, but who they were always meant to become. The restlessness dissolves into purpose. The searching transforms into arriving, and here is the final frame, you no longer watching your life from the audience, but directing it from the center. The golden hour isn't ending, it is just beginning. Fade to possibility. Roll credits on everything that came before. The next scene starts now. Thank you for sharing this cinematic journey with me. If this resonated with the story unfolding in your own life, illuminate someone else's path by sharing this message. Subscribe to continue experiencing these moments of recognition together. And if this message has stirred something profound in your spirit, if you feel that electric moment when truth meets readiness, there is a beautiful way to honor that sacred exchange. The Super Thanks feature becomes your way of planting seeds in fertile spiritual soil. I have watched as those who choose to invest in these divine encounters find themselves written into the most extraordinary plot twists. Last week alone, testimonies poured in like screenplay reviews, unexpected financial blessings, surprise opportunities, doors opening with cinematographic timing. When you sow into revelation, revelation sows back into you. Your next scene awaits in the videos appearing on your screen. Choose the one that calls to the director within you.